dad's blessing and then you'll get all the inheritance. He's like, Mom, Dad's gonna know. She's like, I got you, Dad's not gonna know. Go. Dad's like, who are you? Are you Esau? The son's like, yes, I am. Feel my arm here. Feels it. He's like, okay, you are. The food was good. Gives him his blessing, which is his inheritance. Esau comes back. Esau's like, no, I'm missing a part here. Esau comes back and he's so hungry. Then he gives up his inheritance for bowl of soup. Guys, I should have read the story before the time. I thought I knew, but that's not the important part. We're getting lost. That's not the important part. I'm getting lost here. Anyway, then Esau finds out that his dad had given his blessing to Jacob. And he goes to his dad's like, Dad, please, can you give it to me? And he's like, I can't. I already gave it to your brother. That's intense, right? And then Jacob, out of fear, runs away. And this is where the love story starts. So then he runs, and I think it's like a relative or distant relative. And then he goes there and he seeks refuge there. And then he sees Rachel. Now, the Bible describes Rachel as beautiful and Leah as, if I'm not mistaken, like not favorable on the eye or something like that. But not saying she's ugly. He falls in love with Rachel. He goes to the dad. He's like, bro, I love your daughter. Can I marry her? And the dad's like, yeah, sure. Work for me for 7 years. Can I just tell you, if you add 7 years to your life now, and someone says to you, you need to work for me for 7 years before you have someone's hand in marriage, is there someone who's going to do that? Anyway, that's my Fred love story. He works for 7 years. It gets juicier. And I know you know this. Then, the night of the wedding, the dad gives him Leah, because Leah's the older sister. But Jacob doesn't know. So it's the wedding, and they must get married like those Bollywood movies where it's now the chic, because how do you not know you're married? Anyway, they now go to their honeymoon, and as he wakes up in the morning, he realizes that he has Leah. Then he goes mad to the dad, to Laban, I think, and then he says, bro, you said I can have Rachel. Then he's like, okay, look, Leah's the oldest. It's wrong of me to give Rachel before Leah, but you know what? I'll give you Rachel now, but you need to work another 7 years. Guys, we're on 14 years now. What have you done for 14 years besides working that would, like, imagine I tell my husband, you have to work for 14 years before you can have me. My guy. And he does. The Bible is so beautiful. Anyway, then he works. Then he gets into this whole thing about Rachel being now barren, even though she's a pretty sister, and the other one keeps giving him sons, and she becomes better. Anyway, that's not the point, but that was the love story. And funny enough, no, it's not funny, it's a fact. Joseph, okay, no, I'm not going to get into that. We're getting carried away. Then we have David and Bathsheba. Also, I love David and what he did. David was literally a man after God's own heart. And then Bathsheba, listen to this is juicy. So, David sees Bathsheba. David's almost the king now. He is a great king. The Bible describes him as a great king, and the only person who was after God's own heart, a man after God's own heart. Bathsheba's bathing on the rooftop. She's not chilling, she's bathing. I don't know why they bathed in the openness. He sees her, and he sends his guards like, go fetch that girl and bring her here. She's a married woman. In my fictional story, they know each other, but factually in the Bible, it doesn't say anything like that. Obviously, she knows of him. Goes there, they now hook up, she falls pregnant. Then David's like, what am I going to do? Her husband is in the army. So he says, go and get her husband, bring him home so they can like hang out and they can like jaw. So that when she now gives birth, they're now jawed. But then he comes back, and you know, back in the Bible, like there's some things you couldn't do. Like he was at war, so he couldn't go home. He's like, I can't be with her when my men are fighting. David's like, fine, you know, don't. Then he instructs the people to put this guy in front where he's going to get killed. So in essence, David now murders a man. Then David's written with guilt, but you won't believe this. And I think Bathsheba loses the baby. I'm not sure. But again, guys, I will give you in-depth stories of this, but that's not the point. The point is about forgiveness. But then he's now super emotional, and then Bathsheba moves into the castle. Is it castle? It is castle. They must live in castles. And then I think they lose one of the babies, or the son is born, and it's King Solomon. So again, God took David's sin, God forgave him, and their son that was born that way ultimately becomes King Solomon, which we know is in the Bible. Okay. I think the point of sharing those stories, especially Hosea, was that he was instructed by God, even though his wife went back to the streets. He was like, God told me, you forgive that woman. Like, you forgive that woman. And again, I'm not promoting toxic stuff, but I'm trying to like just understand how forgiveness, I think we think it's for the other person, but I know it's for us. You know, forgiving someone, forgiving your past, forgiving yourself, guys. Forgiving yourself is so important. We make mistakes, but we're so hard on ourselves. I should have known, I could have known, and we hold on to that mistake or guilt, or we treat ourselves based on our sin, you know, because we're like, that's what I deserve, and other people seem that way, so I'm gonna see myself that way. Like, no, you are made new in Christ, obviously. And then I was thinking about my current relationship. Listen to this story. There's a real story. So one of my friends that I actually have a tattoo with, so we lost touch, we didn't become friends, and I think maybe it's because I was not the great person, and for whatever reason we couldn't just resolve it, so we just like called it quits. And I was like, fine, it's seasonal. Then recently she came back into my life, and we didn't speak about things, but we just, by virtue of being the same circle, started speaking. And this time I was more intentional. I told my husband, because I told him everything is my best, and I was like, look, I need to try and be better. And even with my friends, my group of friends, I try to be mindful, because obviously on this journey you go, God will obviously rebuke you. And I think you find that with yourself, right? When you go into a journey of being better, it's so difficult, but God will show you ways that you have to do better, and it does make your life better. Anyway, so then we started being friends again. I was like, I need to do better. I need to be a better friend. And just by virtue of hanging out, we started like being chill. And I was like, because we're in the same circle, I was like, imagine she had resentment towards me. Okay, she's obviously an amazing person. And then we're in a circle and we're like awkward with each other. Now everyone else is awkward. I'm like, that's the point of forgiveness. It's that we are just reminded through these stories that no one is perfect. And I know we have zero tolerance. We're like, no, that person was a good friend. And by all means, if you forgive a friend and they keep doing the same thing, by all means forgive them and then cut them off. That's seasonal. But if you can have friendships and you guys give each other grace and you learn from it, there doesn't have to be like zero tolerance. Like an example, again, my mom is sitting here and then she's like, oh, she messaged my aunt and then my aunt didn't reply and she doesn't know why, because it was a misunderstanding, but you know what, no love lost. And I started laughing. I'm like, Mom, it's not that deep. Obviously you love her and it is love lost. Just ignore it. If she didn't reply, it could mean anything, but it doesn't necessarily mean that she ignored you. And again, Joyce Meyer says, expect the good in everyone, and even if they do you dirty, you've had a good day because you weren't sitting there thinking the worst case scenario, because it's exhausting. It's exhausting making up scenarios like, oh, they probably didn't reply because it doesn't. No, they didn't reply because they love me so much and they fell asleep on a pillow because my love put them to sleep. I don't know what I'm saying, but anyway. So we very quick to cut people off because like zero tolerance, like if you do this to me, it's a no-go. And I'm like, no, it shouldn't be that way. And like, just having forgiving hearts, I think it's a gift God gives us, for real. I think God gives it to us because he's like, you know what, besides what he's saying is that he forgives us 70 times 70 times 70, it's something that you get to live with. Like, if you're mad at someone, and I know I have this, if I'm mad at my husband now, he forgives me quickly, he's super chill, I will carry on with it, even if I'm fine, I'll be fine with him, and then he'll be like, oh, do you want to go out? I'm like, why? So I can come home late or something. I was like, so spicy, why? And he's having a good time. He's not mad that I'm mad. I now will fall asleep on the couch, and go to bed late, but I want to be next to him, but I'm like expecting myself. So it's like, you see the saying of, if you drink poison, forgiveness like drinking poison but wanting the other person to like die. Like, that's what it is. And anyway, the point of all of this, what I'm sharing is, by no means am I telling you guys forgive people that are hurting you or toxic. While hurting, yes, forgive them, but don't keep them in lives. But I think what's important is that you can 100% forgive people over and over again. You should. Look at our siblings. Like, my siblings annoy me, and there's no way they're perfect. I'm not perfect. But it goes out saying that I love them because they're my blood. I'm going to forgive them. And same with my husband. Like, I am a lot, but he forgives me without even me having to say sorry, you know. And I realized that having, like, grace, especially for yourself, first of all, you need to forgive yourself. What I realized is when I started being graceful to myself, I started offering that grace to other people. And I wasn't so much of, okay, I'll forgive you. That was my favorite thing in my younger days. I can forgive the person, but I'm never going to be close again. Or, you know what, I'll forgive him, but I'm not going to share as much. Or, that is also, it takes a lot of work to think about it. Because back to my husband, when I'm mad at him, even if he makes a joke, I must not force myself not to laugh. Or if he's like, you look so cute today, I don't want to be thank you. I'm like, you know what, yeah, thank you, but it's not for you. Obviously it's for him. But when you hold on to resentment and hurt and stuff, you have to remember that, and it's so exhausting. It's so exhausting. And the other person's moving on. They are not sitting there thinking, oh my word, Tracy's counting the time they've spoken to, whatever. So when I just thought back to how we got here, about how happy I am that my family, we have a forgiving heart. We really do. My family is so great. Like, even when we annoy each other, and many families do, we have such forgiving hearts and we laugh things off, and something that's good laughing. And even in my friendship circle, obviously we are millennials, so maybe like we've just experienced things like when we have a misunderstanding, we'll quickly say it and then get over it. But I think what's important is that what I've experienced now, forgiveness, is that I don't want to close myself off if someone hurt me. I don't want to be like, okay, I'll hang out with you, but not as much as we used to because of what happened. It doesn't serve you, but it's so freeing to just forgive, and it's biblical. God doesn't say how many times. He says 70 times 70 times 70. I worked it out in a calculator and it's an infinite number. I'm lying, I didn't, but it is an infinite number. And even biblically, like when I look at all these marriages and just things that the people that God had forgiven, like the adulterous woman, the woman at the well, like at no point did he, in fact, in most cases, he takes our very sin and he turns it into good. Like he takes your struggle and he lets you like thrive off that, you know. And I think that's so beautiful that even with Bathsheba and David, like he takes that scenario, and Bathsheba probably felt so like, I can imagine, dirty. David, it says that he cried for days to the Lord because he was ashamed. And then God's like, my friend, I love you, I forgive you, not my child. And he continued to, till now, David is spoken about and he's the greatest king. And then Solomon was his son, he was also a great king. Like it's just unbelievable what God can do. And then I was like, he wants us to have that with each other, you know. And I'm grateful that I have friends that are forgiving and graceful. And I think even with my friend now, like I said, we loved each other so much, we got matching tattoos, and I still have it. And there was a time I was mad, and I was like, you know what, when I'm friends anymore, I'm gonna cover it up. And when I got close to that point, I was like, but I can't cover it up because it was such a good time in my life. And I think I spoke it in my friendship video where I speak on the fact that it was a season in my life where they added so much love and value, and it really impacted my character and who I wanted to be. And because after that I tried to be a better friend, and friendships are everything. I'm a Leo, I love friendships, like people for my cups. I get my energy from people. So anyway, so I think I'm saying a lot now, but what's important, I think at Bladen is give yourself the gift of forgiveness before you think of anyone else. Forgive yourself first of all for stuff that you've been through, and even if you do things daily, just forgive yourself. Tell yourself, I make mistakes, I'm okay. And then forgive yourself for past things. Like I think about stuff I did in my 20s and I'm like, bro, why would I do stuff? But it's always easy to judge yourself after the fact. But in that time, you've got to tell yourself you made the best decision. Even if it wasn't. At the time, you thought you were doing good. So you need to forgive yourself. I found, like I said, once I started forgiving myself, it was easier to offer that and just to think the best. And now that I'm having this energy and I'm learning every day, because we must never arrive, is forgiving and really just going back and not forgiving and saying, okay, I'm not going to call you or stuff. It really feeds your soul. But now I'm repeating myself. But anyway, I hope I don't have to re-record this when I listen to it, and I hope it makes sense when you do watch this eventually. But mostly, I hope that you do have a heart of forgiveness, because it's definitely, see, just in time, here's my little human needing me. You need to? Okay, come. I hope you have a heart of forgiveness, or try to, and I hope that you know that forgiveness is a gift to you from God before it is for anyone else. Okay, let me go. Have a lovely week, and I hope that God doesn't bring too much into your life where he's like, okay, now you're going to learn to forgive, because that's most of what happens. But anyway, I'll see you guys soon, or not see, but I have a conversation soon. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay,